Welcome to the Be Your Soul podcast. I'm your host, Sky Bradshaw. This episode begins a new year of podcasts and a few changes. While I have absolutely enjoyed this past year beyond words, I do need to bring a better sense of balance and alignment in the give and receive connection with the show. I wouldn't be much of a guide if I didn't practice my own teachings. That is why I'm moving to one podcast per month, released on the third Friday of every month. That allows me to put the time, dedication, and energy into each show that it deserves, while also making sure I have time and resources for the rest of my endeavors. I will also adjust the Patreon subscriptions to reflect a once-a-month release. Thanks for a great last year, and I look forward to many more growing and learning together. Let's get started on today's episode, where we will discuss seed setting, and each of the three segments build a little deeper into the topic. So be sure to listen through to the end for helpful tips, tools, and guidance on how to do the work. In the Skylight segment of today's show, we will connect to master distiller and herbalist, Mena Killough. Before we dive into the Unclouded Heart segment for spiritual messages of wisdom, let's invite ourselves to become present in this moment within our mind, body, and energy. Take a moment to invite yourself to take some deep and cleansing breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose and out through your mouth. And in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, allow your body to relax, 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 relax. Relax, 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 relax. Relax, 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 relax. And as we move into this space of complete relaxation, we open up our energies to the ancestors, loved ones, and friends to come together today to heal and guide us and lift us to the highest version of ourselves in the light of the universe, so we may hear what we need to hear, know what we need to know, connect how we need to connect, and be what we need to be for our highest and best good and the highest and best good of all involved, as we open up space to give and receive. Seed setting. One of the messages that I've been receiving since the beginning of 2024 is about the idea of seed setting. What I keep seeing over and over again is that we can eat the seeds and get temporary satiation, or we can plant the seeds and harvest for a lifetime. As someone who has had a recent love affair with fruit trees, I know this feeling all too well. I remember when the tiny root bundles for my blueberry bushes came, and I looked at them with the deep understanding and realization that I would have to nurture these bundles for years before I received the juicy, delicious fruits back. I also realized with kind attentiveness and patience, these bushes would give back to me for a lifetime. The commitment and understanding that in giving I receive, and in receiving I give, washed over me in a way that made the vision of balance clear. I feel that this is true in relationships, career, learning, and any true life plan. There will always be a time at the beginning of a journey where it feels as if we are giving and not receiving. The truth is, we are investing in a future receipt in a way that will pay off with infinite connection if we set our seeds with intention. I've had way too many times where people came in wanting advice on how to emulate what I'm doing. They have a gift and they want to transfer that into a successful business. And while I find great satisfaction in being the healer's healer, there is always that moment when people realize that I didn't get where I am overnight or by luck, and that they have a much longer journey ahead of them than they had imagined. When they focus on their goals and realize that there may be a time that they must set the seeds and nurture the plan while waiting, sometimes years, for the harvest, it can feel extremely frustrating. My advice in this area is to recognize that even in the nurturing, even when we aren't bearing fruit yet, there is still so much to be gained. When we plant that root ball and look at the mound of dirt, if we can see through to the delicious berry, then we are learning how to envision. When we nurture the soil and up pops the sprout, then we are learning about creation. When that sprout starts to flourish and the limbs grow towards the sun, we are learning about interconnectedness of all things. When those limbs bear flowers to indicate that soon the fruit will come, we are learning about the beauty in life. And finally, after all our nurturing, those flowers turn into fruit. We are learning that in giving, we receive, and then in receiving, we give. So, dear listener, I hope that this inspires you to look at the seeds in your life and nurture those that you wish to plant to create a harvest that lasts a lifetime. Or, as you may be creating a lasting legacy of bounty.
Production of the Be Your Soul podcast is made possible in part by Tarot by Sky, because it's your future. Tarot by Sky offers intuitive tarot and energy healing sessions, as well as life coaching, classes, spiritual guidance, and more. Offering sessions via Zoom, email, phone, or in the office in Greensboro, North Carolina, Sky is ready to help you turn change into growth. Book your session today on the web at tarotbysky.com and find her on Facebook and Instagram at Tarot by Sky.
Today, we're so glad to connect with Mena Killough, who you may have seen on Season 2 and 3 of Moonshiner's Master Distiller. She is also a bitters creatrix, herbalist, and makes the most beautiful cocktails and mocktails that you have ever seen, much less tasted. She also happens to be my very first Reiki student. Welcome, and thank you for being on the show. It is really great to catch up with you.
So good to catch up with you as well. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So today we're going to kind of talk about seed setting and how we can eat our seeds right now and quench our hunger, or plant our seeds and harvest them for a lifetime. And using this as a metaphor for soul work, because that's what the show is about, how we allow ourselves to grow and enhance in our own personal growth. I couldn't think of anyone better to talk about it with than you, as you really have blossomed and bloomed in ways as we both have in the, I won't say how many years we've known each other, but we have really grown into ourselves in a really beautiful way. And I really feel like you're going to bring a lot to the table on this topic. There's a Haitian proverb that says, "What you plant is what you harvest." And I often think about this when suggesting personal growth exercises to my clients. How do you keep the intention of that in alignment with your work in life?
Well, I think that it comes easy when I just follow my gut. It's when I stay in my head and get too analytical and making all these plans and of what I'm trying to make my life into, I think that I make a mess of things. But when I just go with my gut and feel my excitement, and there's not like any planning or plotting or like design, everything seems to fall in place with a lot more ease. And I have more of a softer and elegant journey when I follow my smarter of my three brains.
Yeah, I definitely feel like knowing your strengths in those ways, or knowing where those messages come from, is really important. And when we think about planning what we harvest, one of the things that comes to mind to me when you were talking is like, you want to know what the indigenous flowers are. You want to know what the indigenous plants are, what organically grows well in these spaces. And, when we try and force things, it's like trying to plant a palm tree in, zone 5 or whatever. But, but thinking about that idea of like allowing what's naturally in our system to just come forward and be the guide. And then we might need a little logic to support it so we know, where to put it or whatever. But like that allowing from the organic self, I think is really beautiful. So I think that everybody could use a little of that in their world.
Yes, for sure. Because I think that when you like let your gut and just like pure, like maybe not pure instinct isn't the word, just like that, the energy of it, excitement in like its purest form, it's never going to be wrong. It's going to be true to you. But with, conditioning of growing and growing up in, the America or the Western culture, there's so much like mother culture input that skews what our natural soul wants to align with sometimes. Taking that out of the equation for the most part, I think will align you with your true path.
And it brings forward that energy of like the passion self, like the soul self. And we know what we're touching, we love. We know that there is a deeper connection from within us that allows that to grow forward versus when we force it or we're told it's our shoulds, what we should do. Then a lot of times it stunts the growth because we're living somebody else's plan, not our own.
Exactly. So, as an example with my experiences, I was kind of lost on what being an herbalist looked like for me. Living in Charlotte, I was just really having a hard time. Like, how can I do what I love, but also, it be a financially wise decision. So there was like a couple different like false starts, I guess, on like what to do. I had I made medicine, which I love to formulate and garden as well. And so I was trying to make these products, and I had stuff on Etsy, and then I was doing concepts that people weren't really doing at that time. This is like 2012 or 2013. And then, next thing I know, I have 36 pages, if not more, of copycats. So I'd like pull my designs down, pull my things that I was doing, my blends, everything, and just like try to like reprioritize, adjust. And I went back to school after studying herbal medicine under Corey Pine, the Blue Ridge School of Herbal Medicine, and I studied horticulture. I wanted to study traditional Chinese medicine, but I'm a mother. I have kids, and I have a full family. So that wasn't feasible to pack up and move to Asheville for 4 years or Southern Florida where the other schools were. But in Charlotte there was a horticulture program at the community college, so I started taking classes and trying to get my associates just to like, if something lined up for me, that at least I had like these classes. If somehow I ended up in Southern Florida, I would have like, these college credits so I can study Chinese medicine. And I kind of got swept away with studying horticulture, worked for the Carolina Panthers, taking care of their floriculture and the Duke Mansion. They had a huge estate with like different landscaping rooms with the dripping hydrangeas and the protege of the chef's garden. And, that was really fun for me, just like harvesting and handing over the harvest to the chef who would incorporate that with the meal. And then, bringing some of my herbal knowledge with the roses in the rose tea garden, and incorporating that into gifts for the guests. and working with the North Carolina Herbal Association and doing some amazing things there. Moved up pretty quick. And then next thing I know, I'm making, cocktails with herbal interactions. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing to see like these Nervine cocktails hit like 120 people all at once. And just seeing that, like,
Yeah.
where instead of just like, here is this medicine blend I'm giving to you or selling to you, and they go off and do their thing and they'll be like, oh, yeah, that was awesome. Can I have another bottle? But just seeing it all hit that many people at once and just like, becoming relaxed and happy and having a good time. It
Mm.
was just, like an amazing experience. So I was just like, well, maybe I can, what being an herbalist looks like on me is I bring my herbal knowledge into bar programs. So it took me a while to get behind a really good cocktail program because, I did some college bartending, like at, popping beers, Jack and Cokes or whatever.
Yeah.
But as far as like for lack of the better term right now, like mixology, it was just, there are so many like touches and it's kind of like such a like click. It was
Hmm.
hard to like work my way into that, but I really had to put the effort in, be humble, and like see some of the things I was doing be redone by people that I worked under,
Hmm.
all part of, the terrain and the process. I wasn't the first that happened to, and I won't be the last.
Right.
And and then eventually I got to be a part of a program that didn't have a menu and that it was just all studying. So we were like deep diving on like old fashions. You want an old fashioned? Well, we have 6 different iterations of an old fashioned. So it's like through a molecular old fashions to classic old fashions. And I was the in-house alchemist where I'd take the plants that I had foraged and incorporate it into the bar program. And I started making rose waters, and it was just all fun and feeling that excitement and taking it to like the most extra place
Right.
where I would just like do deep dives on, for example, absinthe. And by the month that we before we shut down for COVID, that was like anytime somebody wanted a cocktail and I had my pick of spirits, they were like, you're going to get absinthe. And I've got to figure out how to make you like absinthe without you not knowing that you're about to get absinthe. So it was, a huge hurdle for me to figure out because it has such a distinct flavor. And so to connect with the plant or the plants in absinthe, I started growing all the botanicals in my garden at home that go into absinthe. And that's something with studying plant medicine and, plant spirit connections too. Like you really want to sit with the plant. You want
Right.
to like, not even just like, just regularly taking the plant for like a month, but just like sitting with the plant. So that's what I wanted to do is just like sit with the plant. Since that was like my little side project that I assigned myself, my own personal study. So we shut down for COVID and I was like, yay, I get to like work in my garden that I never have time for. And I really, for 2 weeks, I was just like in there, just doing all the things that I've been dying to do out of, with lack of time. And the next thing I know, I get a job opportunity to distill to make hand sanitizer for first
Hmm.
responders and stuff during the shutdown. And, although I was like super excited to have all this free time, I definitely had to, take that job. And
Yeah.
plus, it was an opportunity. I really thought like eventually I would maybe take my talents into distilling. I was already making rose waters and other botanical waters and wanted to get into making spirits, but I just thought like 10 years down the road, like I'm making is going to be years down the road once I get like, built up enough in my portfolio. Well, COVID really fast forwarded that. So the week of my birthday, April 15th, I'm distilling, making hand sanitizer, cooking old beer, and then moving it from this converted beer brewer into still. And the owner of that distillery was like, well, if you don't suck, we'll make you the head distiller. And I think you can, with your knowledge, you can make some incredible gin. And so 2 months in, I'm making gin and whiskey. And I keep getting these people that are like, "Hey, you should be on Master Distillers. You should go on a television show and compete." I'm like, "That's super funny." I don't want to embarrass myself on TV like Master Distiller. I've been distilling 2 months. Like, who am I kidding? But it kept on like coming at me, these like little nods. And I've learned, I'm sure you know too, when something just keeps like waving at you, like that's
Right.
time to listen. Um,
Exactly.
yeah. And so I was just like, what the hell? If I get on, I might learn something from the other distillers since I'm so new. And if I don't, then I save my dignity.
Hmm.
So I went through the process, and 4 months of interviews. And I got a phone call come August to compete in Tennessee in 2 weeks to make absinthe. So,
Right.
you
So talk about spiritual synergy.
Yes, and it was an amazing experience, but it was like following my gut, following my natural
Hmm.
instinct, that led me to like these amazing opportunities. And if I ignored that, then I wouldn't have that experience. And it just set like a whole chain of reaction in my life that was amazing. And a lot of it was hard. There was a lot of hard lessons,
Hmm.
even though the midst of all that uh, supposed so-called success, there was a lot of shedding of things in my personal life and loss. Like, definitely when you have like big things that happen and manifest, if you don't choose like your sacrifice that goes into that, then it gets chosen for you.
One of the things that I was going to ask is, what advice would you give somebody about having that patience? Because the process that you just told us, while to you, you suddenly found yourself, as a distiller, I saw the whole journey there in how you described it. So it was a patient process. You just followed your gut and took step by step. So if you wanted to give somebody advice on like what that would look like how can they cultivate that patience in the process in their life?
Well, I read this amazing book called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And that in that book, I learned the approach to think like a master in that
Mm,
field instead of thinking like an amateur, and just, really giving it your all, doing your best. And everything that I approach with that mindset. So I would like to be possibly a distiller herbalist down the road. Well, what does that journey look like without
mhm.
getting too much, in my head about it? Well, I've got to, learn and study, but also sit with the plants. And I think that no matter what you want to do, it's just sitting and being with those like the rudimentary points of whatever that is built on, that you need
Mhm.
to sit with it and spend time with it, like approach it like a kung fu master.
Yeah.
You start out with, the move, and you repeat it over and over again. You like know that movement to like its own world of just that movement.
Yeah,
And
until it becomes you, until
yeah,
it just is, and that's the Reiki principles just for today. Like, just
yes.
for today, I am this. Like this, it becomes me. It comes not just through me, but from me in those spaces.
And yeah, exactly. That comes from you. It's not like pretending you're this or that. Like, you're
Hmm.
not pretending to be a master. You are the master, but you're just on a different point in that like lifelong mastery. And it's just understanding what those points to get there are.
Yeah, and I believe truly that we all have access to everything that we need to know within us. And it's more a shedding of the layers of the things that we've placed on top of it. Like you were talking about the learned behaviors or the cultural, shoulds in those spaces. And so, to me, when we work on that soul self position, it really is about the shedding of the anti self in order to remember the self and let that knowingness just come forward as it's meant to be. So on those lines, I ask my guests 3 questions every show. And the first one is, what do you think it means to be your soul?
I think it means to let go of everything else that isn't you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're born perfect. I mean, in that perfection, obviously there's always lessons, but it's just letting go of everything else, all the other inputs that are not you,
Yeah,
and being completely honest with that, the good, the bad of it.
exactly. One of the spirits that I work with is that in order to see the whole, the WHOLE, you have to see the holes, the HOLE, like both encompass you.
Beautiful.
In those spaces, yeah. So, what's one thing that you do no matter what to be sure to get your self care in?
Oh, just a deep baths. Sometimes that's all I've got. So
I think baths are amazing. We are of water. Water is all things. So, getting back into the water is always powerful. And so, if you could describe feeling centered and balanced, what does that look like in your life?
centered and balanced. That one's a tricky one. 'Cause, every time I get there, I feel like I hold it for a fleeting amount of time before everything else like overtakes me. But usually it's like being centered for me revolves around a lot of dietary things. And we get so busy, and I easily get so busy with all the things that I love and all the people that I love around me. There is just like such a lust for life that it's so hard to stay there. But it's really just taking my herbs really helps so much. It sounds so, but yes, drinking my reishi tea, getting my time for some kind of embodied work of just like being in my body, feeling my body, moving without like being analytical about things.
Yeah. And I feel like even when you were talking about like being with the people that you love, like it sounds like that's that's a part of your centering, like being present in your heart with people is a great way to be centered and feel balanced. So
Yes. And the plants that I love
yeah.
too.
Yeah. It's an and, not an or. And all of that in those spaces. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom and all the things that you have to offer. I think that vision of the journey that you had is the perfect depiction of like taking that seed and putting it in the ground and letting it grow into finally fruit in some way. And even if there were joyous moments along the way, there's also the and then what came next, and then what came next, which got you to the space. And then there is still more from there, I am sure.
There's always more.
Exactly.
And it's all great. And
It
if
is.
there's left turns, if there's right turns, if there's U-turns, it's all good.
It is. So do you have anything coming up, or do you want to shout out your Instagram? I Insta stalk you. I love it.
Master Distiller Mena. Is where you can find me right now on Instagram.
And
I am working on a project with some bitters, poorly made. It's pour like you're pouring a drink. POURLYMADE.org. We mostly like right now selling to like bar programs. So that's like the major focus. But once like in like 2 months and stuff, once we get like government thumbs up on everything, we can go to market for the home bartender or cocktail enthusiast trying to do stuff at home.
I'm going to keep my eyes out because like I said, I watch your Instagram page, and it just the beauty of everything. The one thing I love about the pictures that you post is that you can feel them. Like you can feel the energy of what you're doing through the images. So I love that. Guys, you got to check it out. So it's hitting the shelves soon. Where are we going to be able to find them?
Well, it's more of a virtual shelf, so we'll have it online on our website, poorlymade.org. We've had some of the syrups at Rhino Market in Charlotte and Common Market, but we're in the development phase of our online stuff as well.
All right. Well, we thank you so much for being here. And thank you, dear listener, for being a part of this show. We are grateful that you took the time today to connect with us. And make sure that you listen through to the next segment for tips and tools on how to do the work.
Production of the Be Your Soul podcast is made possible in part by Little Energies, a children's chakra-aligned oracle deck. Little Energies is made specifically for children to learn and support their own healthy energy system. These 24 chakra-aligned oracle cards focus on energy wellness through mantras, exercises, and envisioning. Find more information at littleenergies.com. That's LITTLEENERGIES.com.
In this segment are for tools and guidance that I have found helpful in my practice, and maybe you will too. This week, we will focus on a meditation that opens the energetic pathways to allow plans and goals to be made with intention. Remember, in episode 18, Being the Architect of Your Own Destiny, with Dr. Tommy Bryan, we went into the difference between manifestation, intention setting, and envisioning. So, if you didn't listen to that episode, it may help to get a little more in touch with those areas through episode 18's exercise. You can find the episode on our website or a PDF file of the exercise on our Patreon. What are intentions and what make them so powerful? First, let's look at the difference between a goal and an intention. A goal is a focal point which we create a plan to work towards. An intention is a dedicated focus towards an end result, supported by determined actions to obtain that result. If we put this in the field of energy, which is what I do, then we look at it as a goal being exterior of our energy field, the X on the map we're trying to get to, and an intention coming from within our energy field, the vehicle that gets us there. Whenever we create actions, choices, and decisions that originate from our heart center, then we tap into using the energy of our alignment with the universal source energy, which brings forward infinite potential. This is what intentions do. In this exercise, we're going to work on clearing the pathway for intentions to flow through a guided meditation. So get yourself comfortable and allow yourself to connect in a relaxed position. Make sure you have a place and space for the next 5 or 10 minutes to tune in with a quiet mind. Starting with just some relaxed breaths, in through your nose and out through your mouth, and in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, invite your mind, body, and energy to relax, relax. Relax, relax. Relax, relax. Relax, relax. Relax, relax. Relax, relax. And as we move into this space of complete relaxation, we open up our energies to the ancestors, loved ones, and friends to come together today to heal and guide us and lift us to the highest version of ourselves in the light of the universe, so we may hear what we need to hear, know what we need to know, connect how we need to connect, and be what we need to be for our highest and best good and the highest and best good of all involved as we open up space to align and receive. And as we breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth, we can feel the energy circulate through our system, just being present and aware with the energy in our body as we breathe. We connect with our breath as our breath connects to the infinite source energy of the universe. Drawing in through our nose, we call in the universal source energy. Feeling it come up through our nasal passages, and that energy cross across our third eye, curving up at the top of our head, going across our crown as it moves gently down the back of our spine. Feeling that in-breath of the universal source follow our spine down the back of our neck, at the back of our heart, down to our coccyx, cascading down the back of our legs to the bottom of our feet. This is where it grounds into that earth energy, allowing us to feel connected and centered. Then, as it curves up across the top of our toes, we slowly release through our mouth our out-breath. We feel that energy come across the tips of our toes, moving its way up the front body, collecting anything that is not ours and does not serve us, moving across our knees and the front of our thighs, connecting to the root chakra and the sacral, calling any energy that does not serve us from the solar plexus through the heart, across the throat, as we blow this energy out of our mouth, releasing it into the universe to be transmuted. It is then we breathe back in the pure universal energy through our nose, following this pattern again as it infuses our system with the universal source, across our third eye and crown, following the spine down the back of the body as it grounds us to the earth, allowing us to center once again as we slowly start our out-breath. As that universal source energy collects any unwanted or unhealthy energies as we breathe out, releasing that which is not ours. And we follow this natural pattern of breathing in the universal source energy, breathing out anything that is not ours and does not serve us. We allow ourselves to move through 21 breaths in and out. 21 breaths breathing in the universal source energy into our system. 21 times we ground to our center. 21 times we allow that universal source energy to release anything that is not ours and does not serve us through our out-breath, breathing out. And as we make our way through those 21 breaths, allowing ourselves to be full and whole, healed and aligned, cleansed and grounded, it is in this space that we can open up our heart center on that 22nd breath. We breathe in that universal energy and ask it to fertilize and nurture our intentions. As that pure universal energy moves across the top of our head and down our back body, it reaches into the earth energy, and we call forward the seeds of our intentions. From those spaces, the energy curves up across our toes, making its way up our system as we name in each of our chakras that intention. Red root, establish your intention. Orange sacral, establish your intention. Yellow solar plexus, establish your intention. Green heart, establish your intention. Blue throat, establish your intention. Indigo third eye, establish your intention. Violet crown, establish your intention. And from that crown, we envision the blossom of our intentions reaching its limbs up into the seat of the soul, sprouting from this place of wholeness, flourishing from this place of centered, drawing its energy up into the universal source, all the while being connected to our center. We can imagine it like a plant sprouting from the top of our head and its leaves reaching high into the sky, drawing its energy from the universal source. And then we just allow this energy to move inside of us as part of us, giving ourselves permission to receive, knowing that through this clear, centered flow, our actions can be created in a space of infinite potential. And after a few moments of just being present in this space, you can allow yourself to come back to mind, body, and energy, all things aligned as one, now healed, now whole, now aligned and in tune with your intentions. And with that, you can take 3 breaths to allow yourself to come back to this present moment, back to this space. And it is in this energy that you can move forward to map your plans. As the Haitian saying goes, Spirit says, meet me halfway, and I will see you there. So, with that aligned and infused energy, you can move forward in your actions to obtain your goal. May you be well. May you find peace. May you feel blessed. And may you feel whole.
You can find meditations like this and more on our Patreon. Subscriptions offer bonus content like video tutorials, guided meditations, PDF worksheets, and more. It's master-level exercises each month for less than the price of your food delivery tip. Patreon is a great way to support the hard work and dedication that goes into bringing these messages to you. You can find all our episodes, our Patreon link, guest information, the virtual classroom, and more on our website, www.beyoursoul.org.